until such time as it's possibly sold.
I hear you didn't fund it this year.
Well, we didn't fund it in last year's budget, but last week, and that's why I'm bringing it up, there was a resolution in there to fund it at $500,000. We are going to discuss that. We tabled it till next month because the Audit Control Committee is working with Carlene Wright, the lady at the county home that does the finances, to see just how much money we're going to have to put into the county home to fund it at least through next year. It may be more than $500,000.
It was last time. Last time we funded it, how much was it? It was
well, we
$2 million or something.
Yes, but see, if we funded at $500,000, we get $500,000 back from the
matching funds, which is very important.
So we want to look at the facts. We want to make a good business decision. I will most likely be supporting some kind of IGT funding once the Audit Control Committee makes a recommendation.
What's IGT?
That's the funding that comes back to match our county funds.
Okay.
So in other words, the county may put in $1 million. They may put in $1.5 million.
They get $1.5 million back.
Exactly. But we want to make sure that county home is run as is being run so far, as good as it's being run, and it needs money because it will be out of money, I believe, by next summer.
Well, that's encouraging. Of course, a lot of people are just howling with pain at the idea of selling our one thing we have for the seniors. It's the final end, and because it means that they would lose most of the, again, welfare beds, Medicaid beds, because so many seniors. You realize welfare, a lot of it is seniors who just don't. Their Social Security hasn't kept up, their pensions haven't kept up. They're destitute. Well,
I understand the concern, but I think that there's also some false concerns out there, and I will say that publicly. I think that the CSEA, unfortunately, has put a lot of scare in people. Those welfare, in the agreement for the sale of the property, there was a figure in there, and I don't have it with me. There will still be welfare beds in there.
Oh yeah, there are always state requires a certain number, but there sure won't be 80% of them.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. And I think I just ask people to
pull my wallet out here and I'll make a bet on it right now.
I just want people to sit back and participate in the meetings that they're having with CGR. They're doing the study.
CGR.
CGR is a firm that we've hired to do the.
Well, they're the ones that are being indicted.
Well,
investigated.
You and I touched on that last time, and I think you're referring to Marcus and Millchap, one of their organizations.
Right,
the CGR is the individuals that are coming in, working with the county and the committee to do the study.
But it's still part of the Marcus and...
No, it's not. But
really?
No, it's a separate entity. It's a group that comes in and specifically does studies. They're also involved in the study with the Jamestown Police Department merger and the Sheriff Department. So they're a respected group, and I think even Rose Conti, if she was to call in and say that she's very happy we're doing this study, and I think I'm happy they're doing it. So in the end, I think we'll have facts, and that's what people want. We want honest answers, and that's why I wanted to bring up the county home.
Yeah, well, is there any opposition in the legislature to selling the county home?
Certainly there is.
I noticed that I can see that Greg, our county exec, is hot to sell it.
Well, no, he's supporting supporting the IGT funding at this point, but he's basing his recommendation, like a lot of us, on facts, and there's too much out there that's simply not true, and they say that the facility run for profit would not be a 5-star facility. Well, I'll beg to differ, and I think anyone that's done the research in this nursing home business, there's nursing homes for profit within a few miles of the Chaut County home that have, if maybe as least as good, and maybe better care than they're getting at the county home. And I realize that statement I just made may upset some people, but look at the big picture, folks. And unfortunately, I think the union is trying to scare these people, and I just don't want to see that happen. I've been down and talked to those people. We want to take care of those people in that county home, but we just can't continue to lose $10,000 a day. And if this study brings out something that the union can change, they can change the way we run it, that's all well and fine. We'll maintain the county home as best we can, but we just simply can't be losing $10,000 a day by running it.
Even though the jails are losing a lot more than that.
Well, but we're mandated to have a jail. We're not mandated to have a county home.
It depends on the position you're in.
Yeah.
But at any rate, okay, Fred, it looks like the study is underway. We'll put it that way. The news is probably not kind of gloomy, but I will see. for those who want to keep the home in the hands of the county. Some people say there is no loss. How can they say that?
Well, they haven't looked at the figures that at least the legislature and audit control and myself have looked at. So, and I, ask them when there's a meeting coming up, go to the meeting. We love input from the public. And if you want to know more information, call me. I'll be happy to set you up with the right people. But I wanted to touch on that this morning because I was anticipating even some calls about it this morning.
Well, usually that's probably the hot issue. In Chaut County right now is the sale of our lifelong county home. That's been in existence since 1800s, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, well see, it started out in DeWittville here. I remember going over there.
County farm then.
County farm.
Yeah.
And boy, I wish we could have maintained that county farm.
Yeah.
And that enters into another thing we talked about, and it was in the paper just this morning. The federal government came out with some new under 16-year-old restrictions on kids that work on farms.
Oh really?
And just in today's paper.
The Amish are going to love that.
Well, that's in the paper this morning. It was just been repealed. And there's still a lot of discussion, but I know, and you brought up the county home, I know that my kids drove tractors and helped me on the farm, and I can say this with all sincerity, long before they were 16 years of age. And that's what this bill was. It was going to eliminate all that on family farms.
Well, as our good Senator Kathy Young points out often, the legislature is operated is run by downstate people from the city. Okay. All the Silver and what's his name in the Senate. All right, I got a couple of phone calls. You want to take a phone call here?
Certainly.
Okay, good morning, caller. Shoot. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's up?
Not too much. I have a question for your guest, though.
Okay.
You were speaking of the county home.
Correct.
And I understand there's a law on the books that's a very, very old law that for some reason prohibits the county home from going out and doing other things other than just exactly what they do. One thing they would not be allowed to do, but if the law would be changed, is provide assisted living rather than total care.
You're correct.
And things like that. What is the chance of having that law rescinded? Is anybody working on it at this time? And what is the sense of that law?
Well, you're exactly right, ma'am, and we are not allowed to put up an assisted living facility. Now, I don't know where that law stands as far as I know. I haven't tried to lobby to get that changed, but I think that's one of the benefits that we're looking at of enhancing that campus, to bring on assisted living facility, to bring on more therapy work and stuff like this, and to help enhance it. And that's why I sincerely believe that if it is sold, or if we could do that, that is a possibility. But bear in mind, if you did put up an assisted living facility on that campus and we were allowed to do that, I don't know how many millions of dollars that we would have to spend to put that assisted living facility up. So I hope that answers your question, but you're right, there's laws against that right now. And it's just like the discussion around the gas well. If we were to hook up that gas well, and Mr. Duff brought this up Wednesday evening, I guess there is some individual that's willing to hook up the gas well. That would take away some of the reimbursement money, as we found out, because our reimbursement money comes back on the amount of money we spend. Well, if we reduce the cost by furnishing the gas there, that may reduce our reimbursement. So
but if we saved enough money on the gas,
pardon?
If the fact that we don't have to pay a gas bill because we've got our own gas.
Exactly.
It would, I'm sure, offset the extra that they're giving us for the fact that we have to pay a gas bill. I'm sure they're not actually paying the gas bill. So it should come out with a win for the county.
They are paying the gas bill now, but that's figured
100%?
Yes, and that's because the gas well's not hooked up. That money is expenses which we're reimbursed back from the state. Right. If we were to hook up the gas well and didn't have that expense, we have to figure out some way to get our gas well credit back through reimbursement funding. I hope I make myself clear.
Yes, you did. And I have one other comment.
Yep.
I had not, when I was young, this is years ago we're talking, our Girl Scout troop went to the county home and sang Christmas carols and shook hands and talked to some of the residents at the county home. And it was an eye-opening experience for a young person because I had no idea that such a place existed. But as I recall it, I could be having a false memory here, but I don't think I am. It was a wooden building. We're talking 60 years ago. I went by up the road where it is just recently, and I was so impressed. It's so neat looking, and I didn't go in. We were just out for a ride, but it really looks well kept, and there's lots of buildings now, where, as I recall it as a child, there might have been 2.
Well, it is a very nice facility, and if you're referencing a wooden building, I'm assuming, and Reed may agree, the old county home in DeWittville, I think, was a wood building.
It was.
And I remember, but you're going back 60 years, and I'm only 63. I just remember going to the county home with my parents to visit people there.
Right.
So I think the facility there in Dunkirk now has always been a brick building.
It was in DeWittville. Now that you're saying that,
yeah.
I remember it was in DeWittville that we went. Yes.
Yep.
And it was a wooden building.
Whatever happened to that?
I honestly don't know, and maybe a caller that's out there, but right now it's a dairy farm, is there now. And I really don't have any idea. I assume it was probably, the land was sold and torn down, and like I say, someone that's a little...
It might have been the building was so unsafe they could no longer
who knows?
Who knows?
People in, but
I certainly appreciate the call.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yep.
Okay, you too.
You have another one there, don't you, Reed?
Is that other caller still there? Nope. Once somebody gets on and is a little long-winded, usually they hang up in desperation.
Well, it's good to have callers, because I hope I'm bringing some insight to some things
right.
in the function, and we can get on the Chautauqua Lake thing too, because at the meeting last Wednesday night, we here again, the legislature's working better together, because we took 10 grand out of our emergency 2% funding, and we've got some matching funds coming in, I believe from the Community Foundation, so that'll generate $20,000.
Yeah, well, Young is helping out a little bit on some of that.
Yeah, and Kathy Young got us a $50,000 member item, because we very simply have to continue to work on what we can work with the shoreline cleanup. And of course, I'm a farmer. I still think that we ought to take a sprayer and spray around 150 feet out from the shoreline, but we can't do that. You know, people want to have clean shorelines. They want to be able to get their boats out.
Okay, and, we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
You got somebody who wants to peck away here.
Okay.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. Thank you.
What's up?
Just wanted to comment about, it appears that the county landfill situation is improving, and I was wondering if you just wanted to comment on that.
I can comment on that. I'll be very happy to comment on that, because I was just talking prior to the program that Mr. Vince Horrigan replaced Dick Babbage as a county legislator from Bemis. And you know, one of Vince's goals when he got on the legislature, not that Dick or I were not working on this, but to zero in on the efforts of the town of Ellery had concerns with the landfill, well water, waste, roads.
Well, the town banned it.
Yeah, and so Vince has worked very hard, and I believe he had a second meeting last week, and Mr. Spanos was there with the public. And as I talked to Vince Wednesday evening, they've certainly made some progress. And here again, there's concern. They're working with keeping the landfill cleaned up. I know they monitor wells right now. And so from what I'm hearing from Mr. Horrigan, and I think Reed may have him on the show here sometime over the summer, and he can tell you directly how they are working with the landfill. But it's an ongoing process. And here again, if you only go out and listen to people, put a group together, bring in the right people, talk about your concerns one-on-one, and try to at least get some results or answers to the question.
It's a stinking mess.
Yep.
Well, garbage always smells like garbage. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Well, you can't put out aerosols out. I mean...
no, but you can do a better job of cleaning up the papers and some of the waste if that is a problem.
Okay, papers, but I think they're complaining about the horrific odors.
Well, from time to time, but they also, from what I'm being told, are monitoring a little closer what goes in there, because there's certain things that go in there that carry a more distinct odor than...
Like what?
Well, some of your waste products, some of your wood waste products and your plasterboard, evidently, that turns into a smelly. And here again, I have not been part of the meetings, but here again, Mr. Spanos or Mr. Horgan will certainly be able to answer questions on that better
Yeah,
than I
they're
do.
going to, Mr. Spanos might be